Hi everybody, this is Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center, and usually I have my friend Cascade the Wonder Dog with me, but I don't want to wash my hands after petting him, so I don't have Cascade. Usually I got my hat on and always the pink long sleeve t-shirt, but again, for this video, the long sleeves, I'd be pulling them up every 2 minutes anyway, and you've probably noticed I'm covered in chicken blood, and there's a reason for that. As the title said, we're going to teach you how to break down a chicken most economically, or the most economical way to break down a chicken. That's even better. What I'm doing is I'm shooting a video in the middle of me breaking down my chickens economically. I've just raised 300 assorted roosters that would have been macerated, killed at hatching as soon as they were sexed, because everybody wants hens, nobody wants roosters. I'm in the middle of an experiment on it that's turning out wonderfully. Also writing a book that will be available. Now, that I'll talk about in the last minute. I'm not trying to sell the book because it's not even going to be written for 2-3 months from right now. I am going to show you how the most economical way to break down a chicken for your own consumption. Now, as the name of our ranch suggests, we are a sustainable living education center. To a lot of people that brings up, oh, off-grid, how to live off-grid, and that's right. We are completely off-grid. We live by my principle of the 3 R's: reuse, repurpose, and recycle. That doesn't mean that if you live in an apartment in New York City, you can't use this principle that I'm going to show you today to live a little bit more sustainably, put a little bit more money in your pocket, and feel a little bit better about how you're living and about how you're feeding yourself and your family. Pausing. You know, in my videos on my other channel, which if you're interested is Eco Ranch USA, all one word, ECORANCH USA. On my other channel, I tend to get a little bit snarky sometimes, especially in the earlier videos about people not knowing how to do things. Well, you gotta remember, once upon a time, somebody had to teach LeBron James how to dribble a basketball. Not knowing isn't a crime, and I'm not going to get snarky to anyone about that ever again. However, if you don't know how to cut up a chicken, if the only chicken you've had exposure to is what comes in the styrofoam pack at the store, I understand, but there is a better way, there's a lot more economical way, and I want to talk about a few of those things before I even get into cutting up the chicken. You know, the chicken that we're going to be handling today is going to be one that I've raised myself sustainably. It's like that much short of organic because I can't tell you exactly where the feed comes from, but they are all natural. I mean, I know where the feed comes from. I just don't know where the corn and the soy that are in the feeds come from, whether they're entirely organic or not. So, we're just that much short of organic. And what that means is there's no growth hormones to help them grow really, really fast. There's no steroids to help them grow really, really fast. And there's no antibiotics to keep them from getting sick when they're crammed into narrow spaces, laying in their own waste. Also, the bird I'm going to pull out, rigor mortis is going to begin to set in on him, and that's because there's no 12% broth added. Now, broth is nothing more than salt water, or worse, monosodium glutamate water. Salt water, monosodium glutamate water, that's a chemical way that they've discovered to age the birds. You know, they should be aged about 72 hours ideally. Here comes the wind, by the way. I apologize. We have tried to address the wind and this microphone. The only way to stop the wind is to get a new microphone and a new wireless microphone and a new video camera. Can't do it right now. But anyway, the chemically aging, as opposed to the 3 days aging that we used to always do, adds 12% of water to the weight. So if you think you're getting a deal buying a 69 or 79 cent a pound chicken, remember, you got to add 12% broth weight to it. You've got to realize that you're paying for that useless wrist, and we'll get into that in a minute, that nobody ever wants and nobody eats, and the tail that nobody ever wants and nobody eats. A lot of times you're also paying for the neck. Now mine will have the neck attached, and the giblets. Now a lot of people have objected to that over the years, So the packaging, the Pilgrim's Prides and the Country Times and all those people, they've kind of gotten away from making you have a neck and giblets. But what they did to compensate for that is they're putting that little piece, that little plastic pad in the bottom of the styrofoam tray. That's a diaper. It's diaper material. And they don't put it in dry like you think. They put it in already wet. That's how they compensate. So by the time you pay for that wet diaper and the 12% broth, you aren't getting the 69 cent a pound chicken. So Buff, if you say, well, all right, I don't like any of that, and I don't, especially don't like the hormones, antibiotics, and steroids added, then you're going for organic. And an organic chicken's going to run you anywhere from $3 a pound on up, depending on where you buy it. So I'm going to show you how to make the most out of the chickens that you buy. Now the chicken that I'm going to use is going to be a little bit small. He's small because he cost me $1.71 a pound to raise, and I'm killing him at 12 weeks. $1.71 a pound was my cost on the bird, and believe me, that is extremely, extremely cheap for raising any kind of a bird, unless you're pasturing them, and that's something that most of you aren't tuning in to get into, so we won't get into it. But let's get the bird. I'm going to concentrate on my hands as I talk and show you how I break down the bird and show you some ways that you may vary on that as we go. Okay, so here's my bird. No rigor mortis yet, and no neck. I think I said the neck was going to be attached. There is no neck. The neck is excellent. If you get it, if you have the neck is excellent to save for stock. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Let me get the neck out, because that was supposed to be a part of this. So here's his neck. And again, this is a bird that is about 2 pounds as we start him. Now, we're going to assume you're going to break him down for your family's consumption. So, you need 2 knives, really. You need a chef's knife, here comes the wind, and a boning knife, both sharp. Remember, in the kitchen, more people are cut by a dull knife than by a sharp knife. So we're going to take the wing here, and you can kind of feel and see where the wing is moving. By the way, it's skinned because Debbie, my wife, does not like chicken skin, and it takes a lot to hand pluck it. If we both wanted the skin, I would have bought an automatic plucker years ago. But anyway, this is the skinned chicken. You kind of can see where the wing is moving. I take the chef's knife because it's a heavier knife and easier to push through. Just behind the wing and a little bit into the breast. Cut in. Now you can see where the segment is right there. You see the white and the white? There's the segment. Go right into that segment and cut. Usually I just force the knife through like so. And there we have a wing. Now you can further break that wing down by going right here. Crack. You see your segments again. And there you go. Now you've got wings. What are you going to do with wings? Aha! How about hot wings? All right, let's go to the other wing. The same thing again. Right here, just behind the wing, a little bit into the breast. You're going to get a little breast meat in it always, unless you don't want to. Then you can move up a bit. That way, if you're going to have hot wings or fricasseed wings, you've got a little bit more meat on it. So there's my wing. We'll put that with the neck over here. Wing, wing. Now, here's a leg and thigh. It's best to take the leg and thigh together, and you can see naturally where it's moving right there. Take your knife right here, right there against the body, bring it that way and cut. Now I'm hitting the bone right there. Move that bone down. You can see right here, this is the thigh bone and this is where the socket. Come right down here, snicking right along that bone. There's my thigh and leg. Let's do the other thigh and leg. Same thing. It's a little harder on this side for me to show you. Same thing here. Come down right along the body. There. Break. Sorry about the wind. There's my 2 wing thigh sections. So let's address that right now. If you want leg and thigh, if you want to quarter and cook it yourself, just like that, that's fine. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like a thigh and a wing and a leg. So you come down, and there's kind of a natural break where, again, where it moves. Now there I've got it. Right there is the thigh bone, and so the socket's there. Go right into the socket, and it cuts right through, and there you are. I'll do this one the same way. See the movement? And I know that if I cut here, I'm not going to hit the bone. I've got to cut right in here. There usually is a little fat right there. Move it. There's my bone showing me where to go. And there we are. Now we've got that broken down. Let's break it down a little further. A lot of you like boneless thighs, but they're $2 a pound, right? It's so simple to do a boneless thigh. Here's where the skin was, the skin side, or the outside, I should say, and there's my bone. So I'm going to take my knife right along the bone and just cut into it. And I'm not cutting real far, I'm just cutting on both sides. There. Now you grab the bone and pinch it, pick it up like so, right in front of your fingers. Come with the knife that way, turn it around, grab it good and tight, and come with the knife that way. Now you have a boneless thigh, and you have a bone. Now you can further take that meat that's left off of the bone, and you're going to save that. If your chicken was bigger than this one, of course, it would be the meat would be bigger. So this doesn't look like much meat, but believe me, I'm doing 300 birds right now. If I'm doing 300 birds, this adds up. That quarter ounce adds up pretty quick. So let's keep that bone. We've got the boneless thigh. We've got that little tiny bit of meat. Let's go on to the breast, because this is the thing that confuses the most people. If you are familiar with Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you want white meat and you buy the keel, that's the keel. So this is the tender piece of cartilage here. This is a wishbone up here. You're going to take your sharp knife and you're going to come in not straight, not out like this, but you're actually going to tip it in just a little right along that keel bone and make a cut. Now I'm putting my finger underneath the bottom of the keel. That is cartilage, but it's easy to cut through. So you just want to just cut through right at that cartilage back here. Just a little bit, but not enough to cut your finger. Come forward a little bit until you think you're close to the wishbone. Now get your thumb in here, pull it away. And my Uncle Homer used to say, snick along the bone. That's that. I don't know if that's a word or not, but you want to actually hear the knife against that bone. And take it right down, take it off. There you go. Let's put that side down. Let's do the other side, because there's another little trick I want to show you. The same thing right here. Turn the knife inward a little bit so that it's hitting that cartilage. Remember, back here, that cartilage isn't too thick, so be careful with your finger. Now I have to turn it again. Again, snick, snick, snick. We're already through on this side. Snick, snick. There she goes, right through there. Now, put the carcass there for a moment. We have the breast. Now the breast has a tenderloin. Notice that. When you're doing as many birds as I'm doing right now, I like to pull that tenderloin out. I've got the tenderloin now for something else. You can make breast tenders with it. But you've got the breast meat here. Now again, that's not a real big bird, but he's not supposed to be a really big bird. Alright, now you're left with, here's your wishbone, and here's the rest of your carcass. I take the knife in here in front. Now this is the keel back here. This is the very front of the backbone here. I take the knife in like this, then I turn it this way, take it down like that, take the wishbone, and break the wishbone off. Now let's put the wishbone there. Okay, we're not done yet. You look like you got the carcass, we look like the carcass is empty, but it isn't. Right here is something that one enterprising restaurateur is calling the oyster. I think that's a cool name, and actually it's just the meat in the shoulder blade. You can pull that shoulder blade meat out. Again, you probably are going to have a bigger chicken than I do, and it's going to be bigger. There's my oysters right there. Now I can keep the oysters separate and deep fry them if I want, coat them and deep fry them. In my case, I put them in what I call my Stroganoff meat, because I like to eat a lot of chicken stroganoff. Now, I started this while I was talking. Here's where my oyster came out of. There's a little pinch of white meat in front of that oyster. take that little pinch off. Got the oyster here. Here's the pinch again. And it's a pinch. There's a bone under here. You can go and get under that bone. Of course, I'm not going to this time, but you can get under that bone and you know it. But you want to be in front of the bone. Cut that white meat off. I got a feather there. We're going to take the feather off. Now, you can get a little fancier if you're not doing 300 birds like I'm doing. See, here's a little bit of meat right here. You can go in and take that meat out. And we might have a ½ ounce of meat here, but again, you multiply ½ ounce of meat times 300 birds, and you got 150 ounces. That's a lot. And so I usually end up with a big bag of chicken stroganoff meat that would have otherwise gone to waste. So, let's see what we've got here. We've got what's left of the carcass and the neck bone. Now, to make space in my pot, I just take the carcass with my cleaver, and that gives me a little more space. It also breaks up the backbone so that I get the collagen out of the backbone. This makes an excellent stock. So I go right in the stock pot as I'm working. There's some ice in the stock pot. I go right in the stock pot with it. Now, I'm left with my legs, my boneless thigh and my thigh, the wings, the wishbone, the tenders, and the breast, and this. Well, I've already told you what to do with this. You can use your imagination on the wings, on the legs. The thighs, again, boneless thighs. That's what a chef prefers, is a boneless thigh. And this bone can go right in the stock pot. Now I have to save it because I'm actually weighing each and every one of these birds, so I'm going to take my neck and my carcass back out because I'm weighing the birds for the book that I'll mention in a minute. Now the wings, those are your hot wings if you want to make hot wings. So what have I not addressed? Oh, the wishbone. Well, what do you do with that wishbone? I'm going to tell you something I learned about 6 months ago at 64 years of age then. Now I'm 65. If you save these wishbones, if you're killing enough chicken, or cutting up enough chickens, and you save these wishbones, you can make hot wishbones that are every bit as delicious, in fact more delicious than the hot wings. That's what I save them for. I'll have a big bag of wishbones, I'll have my wings, and the rest of this all set up. So that is how you break it down. That's what you end up with. That's very economical. There's barely any meat left on this carcass. We're going to make stock out of the carcass. We're going to make stock out of that bone over here. And there you go. Instead of paying $1.99 a pound for the breast, $1.99 a pound for the boneless thigh, we've got the whole thing at whatever price you paid for the chicken, and the mystery is out of how to cut it up because I just showed you. I did use the cleaver, but you really only need the 2 knives, and a kitchen should have the 2 knives. Actually, the 3. You should have a cleaver, the 4. You should have a paring knife. You should have a boning knife. That's the most critical one. If you're only going to buy one, the boning knife. The chef's knife, and the cleaver, and of course, a sharpening stick so that you can keep them all nice and sharp so that you don't cut your... Now, if you liked this as an educational video, you may want to subscribe to the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center channel on YouTube. My other channel is the Eco Ranch USA. It's all one word, Eco Ranch USA, where I go into great detail about all things sustainable that you may or may not be interested in unless you're wanting. The book is going to show you how to, or show anyone who buys the book, how to set up a facility and raise your own meat chickens. And also it's going to dwell on the comparison between what we call the Frankenbirds, the Cornish crossbirds, the birds that you are buying in the grocery stores, and these roosters. That is going to be an absolute shock when you see the results of this test. If you see the results of the test. And the book will be out in November sometime if you're interested. But I hope you enjoyed watching how to break down a carcass economically. I hope you go ahead and do it. It'll feed your family far better and far more economically, and make your own soups, your own stocks. I suppose I should probably do a video on stock making because that's another lost art that we hope we can help you rediscover. But that's it for now. Until next time, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center in Far West Texas saying, see you later.